So I'm going to be obviously talking about, if you've got the email earlier, I'm going to be talking about my digital nomad journey, trying to get that visa for Italy, and then hopefully answer some questions if you guys have any, if you're trying to pursue a visa. I'm going to talk a little bit about elective residency visas as well, because that was the path I originally started on, and switched gears and had to go for a digital nomad. So I'll touch on that too and kind of talk through why I did that. Where are you guys watching from? I'm here in Texas at the moment at my sister's house. So I've applied for my digital nomad visa last month. So I'm just patiently waiting for news on that. So it's been about, what, 5 weeks or so now. So hopefully I'll find out soon. Let's see. I'm going to give everybody just another minute or so because I think I was going to start it at 2 o'clock Central. Let's see. And bear with me. This is probably my second or third live here on Substack. I do them often on TikTok and some of the other platforms that I'm on, but this is my second or third one, so I'm still trying to get used to the live platform. But I'm glad you guys jumped on. I think what I'll do, first of all, do either one of you guys that are on the call, do you have any questions specifically around visas for Italy or the digital nomad visa? I'm just curious. And I'm not seeing the comments. I don't know if you guys are commenting or not. Okay. I don't know. I can't see the comments for some reason. It looks like something's coming in, but I can't see it. All right. Well, what I'll do, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of jump into the story. So I don't know if you guys have been following me here on Substack. My name's Angie Smith, and I'm the person behind the Olive and Pine Homes in Italy Substack. And I share quite a bit of my journey about leaving my house in Texas and buying a house over in Tuscany. And it's been quite the journey the last couple of years. So I bought my house in Italy in 2023 and was initially going to start pursuing the elective visa. To be able to stay over there full time, and had to shift gears because, and I'll touch on a little bit of the differences between the two visas in case you're interested in that. But I changed the direction I was going and what visa I was pursuing because you're not able to work on an elective visa. So it's mainly for people that are going to live on passive income and investments and that kind of thing, or retirees. And I turned 52 next week, so I have every intention to continue working. And so that's why I shifted gears and decided to pursue the digital nomad visa. But it's been a journey because I left when I bought my house in Italy. Right before that, I left my W-2 job. I used to be in tech software sales, and I quit my job and was trying to figure out, just long story short, I was completely burned out, physically sick. And I write a lot about that in my newsletter too, but struggled with a lot of health issues and just decided to leave that job and pursue something else. And that was about 2 months before my house in Italy came up for sale. And I decided to put an offer in on it. It was accepted. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to do here now? I've got to figure out work. I need to figure out how to stay in Italy full time. Because if you're not aware, and I'm sure if you're following my Substack, you probably already know this, but you can only legally stay in Italy for 90 days at a time. And so since I closed on my house in August of 2023, I have literally been going back and forth every 3 months. So, and again, my family's here in Fort Worth, Texas. So I come here and just stay with them and try to coordinate it to come back at Christmas time or during, birthdays and things like that. But that's been the journey that I've been on. And during that time, I was trying to figure out, okay, I've got to find a way to make income. And so I started actually a couple of businesses. Some of my background, I had gotten into real estate investing. And so I created an LLC. I've got the newsletter here, the Olive and Pine Homes in Italy, and I share a lot of property listings. I'm not an agent in Italy, but I partner with a lot of realtors there and people that can help with the visa process, immigration lawyers. I work with people that can help you with getting a mortgage on your house, if that's something that you decide to do at some point. And so I started this LLC in the States to do real estate investing. I thought I was going to do short term rentals, maybe flip houses and that kind of thing. And then, this house in Italy came up. Um, so I decided to start a newsletter and share properties because a lot of people started reaching out around this time that I bought my house, and started asking me like, "Hey, how did you do this? How did you find the property? How did you decide you wanted to buy? Where to buy? All of that." And so that's why I decided to start the newsletter. Is just to share properties on the newsletter that I thought would be good investments that are potentially ones that you could Airbnb if you decided to not stay there full time, but you wanted to rent it out, just use it as a vacation home. Um, and they're properties a lot of times that real estate agents will share with me, or properties that I've already seen, or that I've just done a little bit of research on my own to go, okay, these are legit properties. They don't need a lot of renovation and that kind of thing. So I started that. Um, and then again, during this time, I had a lot of people, women primarily, reaching out to me about wanting to come to Italy to visit. And so they're like, I would love to do this. I would love to buy property over there. I would love to retire over there at some point. And so the idea of doing women's retreats over there came up. And so I do that now as well. And I run let's see, I've already had 4. I had 2 at the end of 2024, 2 earlier this year, 1 in May and 1 in June. I've got 2 coming up in October and November this year, and I've got 4 on the books for next year. So those are my primary forms of income. So the newsletter, the women's retreats, and then I do consulting and workshops and things like that to help people understand what the process is to buy a home in Italy. And it's just been a lot of fun. So it's kind of just created itself. And so that's how I decided to go, okay, I think I can meet all the requirements for a digital nomad visa, which I want to touch on because I know I only scheduled this for like 30 minutes. We might be able to go a little bit longer. But I wanted to go through all of the guidelines that I had to go through in order to qualify for a digital nomad visa for Italy. And and then if you guys have questions, feel free to chime in. And then again, the reason I didn't do the elective visa is because I still wanted to continue to work. And on an elective visa, you're not able to do that. So, hey, Rochelle, I'm happy to see you on here. Um, so, yeah, with that, I'm going to just kind of go over the guidelines. And this, guys, it's on the website. Like, I have to deal with the Houston consulate. Obviously, I'm here in Texas. And so, um, and it's funny because I've had some friends that have tried to apply for visas and people that I've connected with, and they've waited a long time to get a visa there. But the Houston consulate has been really, really easy to work with. So I don't know where you guys are located. That's one of the reasons I was asking where you're watching from. But Houston is the consulate I have to work with, and they've been great so far. So these are the guidelines that were on their website. So you can go to your local consulate, the one that you would work with, and find all of this information. And it does, it's very much Italian. The rules change sometimes. So make sure to check and make sure none of this has changed. But I could tell you this is accurate right now because I just went through it. I went and I'll back up a little bit before I jump into the actual requirements. It took me probably, gosh, I'm trying to think, probably about 4 or 5 months to get an appointment. So that is probably one of the biggest challenges if you're going to apply for a visa. And again, it just depends on who you're going through and what consulate. But I had to literally, and I got this tip from someone that had already moved over there and gotten a visa. I connected with them on social media, and they're like, okay, the secret to get a visa and get your appointment, not to get a visa, but to get a visa appointment, is hop on right at 5 o'clock Central Time every day during the week, because if anyone cancels, that's when the appointments will open up. So I was doing that. Then I had to go back to Italy in the springtime and summertime. to do these retreats. So I was waking up, y'all, at 12 o'clock midnight to turn over, get on my laptop, check and see if any appointments had been opened up. And I did that for 4 months until one finally came up. So um, let me see. I think, Rochelle, you got a question. Residency visa need 32,000 years qualified income and savings. Yes. So I'm gonna talk about that. So let's see. I think it's in. Oh, I do have that. I do have the savings thing, I believe. So I'll touch on that here in just a minute. Um, And so that was probably the biggest challenge. So I ended up I was in Italy until like July 3rd or 4th, and I just happened to find an appointment just a couple days after I returned back to Texas. So I ended up getting that appointment almost as soon as I landed back in Texas. I was on my way from Dallas to Houston to go down there and make that appointment. Um, but during this time, I had been working actually since, gosh, for probably over a year now with an immigration lawyer to help me understand if I'm going to build a business, what all do I have to meet the minimum, expectations. And really, I wanted to exceed it. I'm like, I want to have more than what they're asking for so they won't turn me down. We'll see how that goes. Um, some of this is going to be very basic, but I'm going to read through it because that was the whole purpose. I've had people messaging me, asking me about what all's required for a digital nomad visa. So obviously you have to have a passport and it has to be valid for a period of at least 15 months past your intended date of travel. So that's a huge thing. I mean, usually when you travel internationally, it has to be within 6 months. But to apply for a visa, you have to have that period of 15 months because the digital nomad visa is for 12 months at a time. You have to have a proof of your physical address. So I had to have address here in the state so they knew that I was from Texas, that I did have a place here already. So I had to bring that. You do have to fill out online. It's called a national visa form. And it has to be very, complete, legibly written, which I will tell you, I was kind of surprised. Like nothing is digitized that I've seen so far in this process. So again, I've been in Italy now for 2 years. Everything is very old school kind of. You would think a lot of stuff would be digitized, but it's not. So you have to print out all of this paperwork, get it signed, get it notarized. And so that's another document that you have to have. You have to have a recent, it's ICAO photo. So it's basically like a passport photo. You have to go get one of those and cut it out and attach it to all the the application paperwork that you're sending in and giving to the consulate. You have to have a letter of certificate of travel medical insurance. So a couple things on this one. Um, I decided to, and I got this information from my immigration lawyer. She gave me some contacts about, hey, these are companies that do insurance. We work with a lot of Americans. And so I got just a very basic package because I get asked this a lot. So, what did I do this past 2 years when I was over there? I literally paid cash. I didn't have insurance that covered me over there. Obviously, I was not a resident, so I didn't have access to the public healthcare system. But I can tell you, I got sick in spring of 2024, pretty sick, and I had to go to the doctor. I had to do a CT scan. They did 2 EKGs. They did chest X-rays on me. I saw 2 different doctors. I got medicine, visits, all of that, and it was like 600 euros. So I just paid cash for it. So it was pretty shocking because if you've ever had a CT scan alone done in the States, I was blown away at that. So that's kind of what I had done up until this point, is just pay cash if I, had allergies or needed to go see a doctor or something. Um, and so, but to get a visa, you do have to have like your own private insurance to show that are going to have that additional coverage. Um, I will say this is quite shocking. It was to me. I paid 200 euros for a 1 year package. And again, I just got the basic package for me. I don't have any chronic illnesses or anything, and so it covers normal doctor's visits, one emergency room visit a year, and this is really random. But if I died over there, it would ship my body back to the United States. Totally weird, but it covers that. So based on my current health and everything, I felt like that was enough. So. But yeah, it was 200 euros to buy a 1 year package, which is insane. I have a medical card, an insurance card, and all of that now to get coverage. So You do have to have that. If you don't have it at the time of your visa appointment, you can get a health insurance affidavit that just says, hey, as soon as I get there, if I get my visa and it's approved, you have this time frame to show that you have proof of insurance once you get there. And you have to get that before you get your, and I'm going to butcher the name because I'm still learning my Spanish, but your permiso de sojourno, which is like your permit to stay in the country. So that is an option, but my immigration lawyer, when I was putting all this together, she said, if I were you, I would just go ahead and have it, and we'll have it as your start date, the date that you get back to Italy, which for me is going to be in October. So it'll just start automatically on that date. Let's see. So we got the travel insurance. The big kickers, you have to have proof of qualifying profession. So for a digital nomad visa, you can have like a bachelor's degree, a master's, or whatnot, be a doctor, that kind of thing. Um, Obviously, that will qualify you to go over there and work. I did not have any of those degrees. I did not go to college and get a master's or a bachelor's for that matter. And so I had to show proof that I was self-employed and had my own business. And I qualified for that because it can't just be any kind of business. And this was where I had to really make sure that I set up my businesses in the right way. Because my background, I'm not sure when you guys joined, but my background is in IT. So that is a sought after field for Italy. And so, if you're in any kind of information technology, that is one of the qualifying professions. And you just have to show that in the past 5 years, 3 of those years, or 7 years, 3 of those years, you've had experience in that field. So, I qualified because I was a regional sales director in IT selling software. And so that qualified me for the digital nomad visa. But the thing is, I had to show that what I did in that role, which was I had to go and build out a brand new territory and find clients and sell them things. And I had, I did a lot of it online through online outreach. So I had to tie in that experience from my IT role to what I'm doing now, which is, I still have to find clients to go to retreats, and all of my business is online. It's all done remotely. And so that is kind of how we tied those two pieces together. And my immigration lawyer was super helpful in helping with that, to kind of marry the two stories on how they would see that as, okay, she did this. It's very similar to what she's doing now, and hopefully, fingers crossed. Because again, I'm waiting for the decision. It's been about 5 weeks. I reached out to them last week, and they're still reviewing it, so no news is good news in my mind. And so, again, I've gone through this checklist multiple times, and so I've given them everything that is required, but we'll just have to wait and see. They said it could take up 4 to 8 weeks to get a decision, so I still have about another 3 weeks of waiting. um, let's see, you also have to have either a lease, a rental contract, or deed for property in Italy. So obviously, I'm at that one because I purchased my house in 2023. So I paid, if you've been following my story, I paid cash for my house in Italy. It was 120,000 euros, 2 bedroom, 1 bath house with an olive grove. And so I own the house outright. And so obviously, I just had to bring my closing paperwork and all of that to the appointment, to showing that I do have a place to stay there. I will tell you, if you don't buy a home and you're looking at renting, an Airbnb or a VRBO and that kind of thing will not work. And you can't use a friend's address, like somebody's going to sponsor you over there and say, hey, it's okay if she sleeps in my bedroom or or my guest room or whatever. You can't use anything like that. It has to actually be a legal binding contract if you're going to be renting. So if you have any questions around that, let me know. Um, Also, too, they said, that's a big thing. A lot of people have gotten denied for the digital nomad visa because they were just showing that they had, Airbnb properties. I've got 3 months here, 3 months here, and it was for 12 months, showing that they've already booked it and paid and all of that, but their visa was denied. So I just always warn people, make sure that you get something that's actually contractual, and a real estate agent can help you with that. You have to show legal income. Um, so at the time, and this has been since the end of 2024, so currently the minimum legal income requirement is no less than 24,789 euros. Very, like, random amount, but that's what their amount is. So I always tell people, I feel like for me, my goal was always, okay, I need to make like 32. If I can prove that I'm making 32,000 US, then I'm over the limit. So, or the minimum requirement. So that's what it is today. And your income can be provided in multiple ways. Obviously, if you've got pay stubs, tax returns is what I used. And then I gave them tons of financial documents, like way more that they asked for 3 months. I gave them my business account, my personal account, my savings account. Like I gave them everything, anything that had money in it, my Venmos, my Stripe accounts, all of it. I gave them all of that information if there was any kind of money from my business in there. So you do have to have that. And the income must derive from work that the applicant is doing in Italy. So for me, my newsletter, I'm working with agents and again, people that do mortgages and stuff in Italy. And my retreats are held in Tuscany. So it shows, I put together a business case. It's not in here, but I wrote up like a 2-page business case on how I was bringing income into Italy and into the community by hiring taxi drivers, renting villas, hiring people to come and cook for us, and all of those things, and just local restaurant businesses and shopping and all of that, and just helping kind of fund the tourism, if you will. So I would suggest doing that. It's not asked, but I think just trying to paint a picture of how I'm helping people make money really in Italy. Outside, it's bigger than me. Like I want to help the local community make money over there too. So I did that, and then you have to have a proof of 6 or more months prior work experience in the field. So again, for digital nomads, the tax returns, client invoices, memberships. I had to give them all the information about my Substack, how long I'd had it, how many paid subscribers I had, all of those kinds of things. And you have to show that you've had it at least 6 months. So in my case, I did. I've had both of those going for 6 months or longer. And then there's a non-refundable visa application fee. And I think mine in Houston, I'm not sure if they're all the same at every consulate, but I think mine was like $140. And I had to pay that. And it's wild. In Houston, you have to pay it in cash. They don't even take a credit card or a debit card. I had to go downstairs to the bank and get cash out. So make note of that. Um, and then I will say that, there's a long list if you go to the site. So if you're not in IT, there are some other professions that qualify for digital nomad. And it's a pretty exhaustive list. So I would definitely go check that out. It's on their website, just in case there's another avenue that you could take if that's something you want to pursue. Um, and let's see. And then one thing I'll mention, this is not the case for me, is around dependence. So I'm doing all this solo. I live by myself. So, but if you do have a dependent family member, and again, this is from 2024, all the latest documents that they had on their website. Digital nomads or remote workers cannot sponsor children over the age of 18, and you cannot sponsor your parents. So I get this question a lot, especially because of my age. A lot of people that follow me are, 45 to 65. A lot of them are actually taking care of aging parents. So I get asked that all the time. Can I bring my mother over there? She lives with me. They do not qualify. So you're going to have to look at another avenue to get you over there. But if you have, maybe a special needs child or something that lives with you, or like I said, aging parents or something, you would not qualify to get them to come over there with you. If you're married or you have children under the age of 18, then they can come over as a sponsored, I think they call it a family visa, a sponsored family visa. So you could do that. And I guess with that, I'm going to pause just for a second and see if anybody has any questions. And then Rochelle, I'll go through the other and the information that I have. Let's see. And there's some guidelines too. Once I get my visa, and I'm just speaking it into existence. So, assuming I get my digital nomad visa, there's some guidelines, and they're pretty strict for you to go get your permesso di soggiorno. You have like 7 days. I mean, like, soon as I land in Italy, I've got a very strict timeline to go and get that taken care of. And then you have to go and get your biometrics done. You have to go to the Questora, which is like, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on the word, it'll come to me, but you have to go to the Questora there in Italy to, um, get some other paperwork done, and you have a very tight timeline to get that taken care of, so, just know that as well, and I'll run through this because the other questions that I get is what's the biggest difference between elective, visa versus digital nomad? So the ERV, the elective residency, visa is primarily just for retirees and those with passive income. And so I will say, being a real estate investor, I was like, okay, if I've got short term rentals and I'm getting passive income from that, that should qualify. I will tell you, it is very hit and miss. Anybody that's gotten an elective visa, um, they're really, really funny. Some of the consulates have approved people for this if you've just got a bunch of rental property, but they usually will bump the minimum requirement dollar amount. They will bump that up. So instead of like $30,000, it may be, I've heard in some cases, someone had to prove that they were making 3 times that in passive income if it was solely rental property. And you have to have a history of doing that. So, um, it's not just any passive income. They're pretty specific about what they look for. But the minimum passive income requirement is 31,000 euros to 32,000 euros for a single applicant, 38,000 to 40,000 if it's a couple. But they did make even note on here that some consulates may require higher. So again, it just depends on what type of income you have. Even for me on my digital nomad, I submitted like a lot of paperwork the day that I had my appointment. And when I left, they were like, "Hey, can you send us some stuff from your website? Can you send us your retreat guide that you sent out to clients? Can you send us your retreat wait list for 2026?" Like all of this stuff. So I had to go back home and overnight, like another like this much paperwork, had to overnight it again to them, just because they were asking for additional documents above and beyond what was on the checklist. So, um, income can be from pensions, rental properties, investments, savings, interest, and things like that. But the biggest kicker is work income is not allowed. So you can't have a W 2 job. You can't go over there and say, I'm going to work in some coffee shop in Italy or something and make a little extra money in addition to my rental properties. You can't do that on an ERV. And you also have to have proof of substantial savings. So I think, Rochelle, that's maybe what you were. Okay. So having funds in addition to annual income helps strengthen your application. And I have heard, and I don't know, Rochelle, I'll make a note of this or send me a message on Substack, or if you've got other ways to contact me. I'm not sure what all platforms you follow me on. I'll ask Marisa, who is my immigration lawyer, what the exact amount is. But I think for an ERV, it's like 50,000 that you have to have in savings in addition to your passive income. So I will confirm that with her if you would like me to, but it's pretty substantial. I've also heard it's been up to 100, but I can't imagine that. You can live very nicely, by the way, on $30,000 if you own a home in Italy. You will be fine. Um, okay, yeah, I can give you Maurice's information. She's great. So okay, good. So Rochelle, I see your note on there. Um, And I think it's just, they just wanna make absolutely sure that if somebody comes over there because, I mean, let's be real. I mean, Marisa, my immigration lawyer was telling me, she's like, "We have seen such an influx of people, primarily Americans, Canadians, wanting to move over there." So she's like, "They have really tightened up," which it's always been pretty tight. I was actually surprised they finally launched the digital nomad visa. Um, but they go through stuff with a fine-tooth comb, so, I would definitely, do what you can, make sure you have all your ducks in a row if you can to meet those requirements. Um, You do have to still have the long-term rental or home ownership in Italy. You still have to have private healthcare insurance. And this is funny. You have to have a clean criminal record. They didn't check mine, but you do if you have an elective residency visa. So just make sure you haven't been arrested. And then you still have to pay the fee and all that. So that one is also renewed annually, same as the digital nomad visa. So as long as I can still show proof that I'm making the same amount of income or more, um, that would be the only caveat for me, and that I renew my health insurance. As long as I've got that, I can renew my digital nomad visa every 12 months. Let's see. How am I doing on time? Oh, right on time, 2:30. Let me see if there was anything else that was pretty important on this. No, I think that's probably the biggest things. I mean, the checklist is only 2 pages long for the digital nomad. It's really for me, it was gathering all the documents. I mean, I had to go show my offer letters from my 2 previous employers that I was with in tech because I worked for 2 different startups during that time period. So I had to send, um, my offer letters to them, my original offer letters, what position I held, how much money I made, all of the bank statements, financial documents, tax returns. Had to send proof that I have an LLC under Olive and Pine. Um, they wanted to look at my website, my social media pages, all of that. So it was pretty intense. So as long as you have all of those things though lined up, and like I said, if you missed it in the beginning, I would highly, highly recommend putting together a business case just above and beyond. Like I wrote a letter to whoever was reading and reviewing my application. And then I had the business case behind that. And then I had all my documents in order of the checklist. So I was super anal about all of that and making sure it was everything that they needed. Um, but the only other thing I'll mention, because it has come up and it may, I don't know, maybe it's something that would you could qualify for. There is an investor visa as well. So I've actually connected with some people on different social media platforms that have qualified for an investor visa because they've started a small business, like a little startup business. And to do that, it has to be a $250,000 investment. There's another one. If it's something bigger, it's a $500,000 investment. And so there's ways that you can, if you, for example, one of the people I've connected with bought a boutique kind of, well, it was a villa to start out with, and he's turned it into a boutique hotel. And he and his wife are running it as a boutique hotel. So he and his wife are both able to stay over there for 2 years at a time on an investor visa. Showing that they've invested money in a small business, and that's what they're doing now, and that's how they're staying over in Italy full time. So um, that might be something you'd want to check into. I didn't really go down that path at all because it didn't qualify. My property, first of all, did not even qualify for it because it was 120,000, not 250, and I wasn't going to run my retreats out of it because it was too small. So I wouldn't have qualified for it anyway. But that's another way that you can potentially get a visa there. Let me see. I may have wrote some notes. See if there's anything else that was important on that. Also, too, if you just wanted to buy shares in an Italian company, you can qualify to get an investor visa. Also, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. But hopefully that was helpful. And Rochelle, I will see. I've obviously you're a paid subscriber, so I need to look and see if I can find your email, and I'll send you Maurice's information. She's been super great. She can answer that for you. Um, but I think with that, I went about 3 minutes over. Anybody have any other questions? Um, I'm curious. Are you guys looking to move over there? And if so, where and why? And I'm always curious. I loved Italy. I've loved it for a long time. I thought I was just going to move over there when I retired, but um, life had other plans, which I'm glad. So I'm counting the days so I can get back over there. Found property and want to start negotiating. Yes. Okay. So little tip for you, Rochelle, which you probably already know this. It's not, I mean, we do this all the time in the States. Um, when you're negotiating, find out how long the house has been on the market. Italian properties sit way longer than they do in the US. So, yeah, because I've had friends look at properties, and some of the properties, one of them has been on the market for about 18 months, and they don't seem to wanna budge on the price, and so I found out from my realtor friend, I was like, "Okay, what do we gotta do here?" Because a house sitting on the market for 18 months is ridiculous. Maybe they're not, we would say in the States, a motivated seller. So definitely find out how long the property's been on the market when you're negotiating, because they just sit longer on the market. What part of, Italy, if you don't mind me asking, Rochelle? Curious if we'll be neighbors. I'm in Tuscany, so I am literally almost smack dab in between Florence and Arezzo. So I can take one of the trains to Florence in about 15 minutes. I can drive to Arezzo in about 30 minutes. Oh, Cortona, lucky girl, under the Tuscan sun. Cortona's great. So I can drive to Cortona in about 40 minutes from my house. Yeah, so I'm super close to you. That's awesome. Well, keep me posted on that. I'm glad we connected. So, yeah, if you end up getting it, let me know. I'm trying to coordinate with some other people that I've just connected, honestly, through this platform. It's been wild. So many are like, "Oh my gosh, can we do a meetup or have meetup for dinner? Or maybe we do like dinner at your house one weekend." And so we're planning on doing something like that once I get my visa. So we're just going to claim it that you're going to get a house and maybe we can be neighbors. That's exciting. I'd love to meet you too. So, well, thank you guys for jumping on. And I think that was all I had to cover. I may do another live here. I will definitely do a live when I know for sure I've got my visa in hand. So, wish me luck. I'm hoping to find out in about 3 weeks, and that's a game changer. So I don't have to fly back and forth to Texas and to the States. My daughter lives in London, so that's been great. She's much closer to me over there, and it's out of the EU, so I can go see her rather than always coming to Texas. But I'm ready to be at my house full time and just start my life over there. It's been so great. Every 90 days I'm over there, I just cry when I have to come home. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great day. And hopefully, I'll see you on the next live. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Ciao.